Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. So, welcome in everyone. Today we've got a little bit of a different setup going on because we are going to be starting to make a coal forge today. So, I decided today that we are going to start by designing the coal forge, and from there we're kind of gonna start gathering materials and start going on the project. So, the first thing that I really wanted to do was kind of, go over what's been going on lately in the shop. So, at the moment, like I said, I kind of got a different setup right now. I don't have I don't have any instances of Chrome or anything up, so I'm not really monitoring my ad time. So I think I can do that on my phone. Let me see if I can't pull that up so I can kind of see what's going on there. I do have the laptop, it's over there, and I can see like all of the comments over there, even if I can't figure out how to get this going on my phone. All right, there we go. That works. Okay. Let's see. There's chat. Okay. Cool. I should be able to see what all is going on with the stream from my phone. Um so today, like I said, we're gonna kind of go over what's been going on a little bit. What's been happening with the around the shop. We have been getting a lot of crazy internet and computer problems, technological problems lately, and I'm not entirely happy with it, but I'm not entirely sure how to fix it. I've done just about everything that I can think of to kind of cut down on that. And so today's stream is going to be a little bit of troubleshooting, kind of trying to figure out if we can kind of see what is going on. My partner is home, so he's monitoring my stream from his computer in the house. And if stuff starts happening, we're gonna kind of try and see if we can't troubleshoot it. So beyond that, okay, so on Friday we started making a soapstone holder, and that's it right here. This is our soapstone holder. And as you can tell, it's not exactly how it was when we left it. It was still very much a bar the last time you guys saw it. And when the stream dropped out, I kind of kept on going with it for as long as I could manage. And it eventually got to the point where I was too tired and a little bit too warm to continue. So there's a few things that I need to do to finish this guy. We do have the slot taken care of already. So you can kind of see what I did was I widened this piece out and then I wrapped it around a piece of bar that is a similar size to our chalk. So as you can tell, the chalk kind of sits in there pretty nicely. So the last part of this is wrapping this tail section around here and kind of so that it can kind of hold that soapstone into the slot. So I will be doing that this weekend, and I will be posting a video on the YouTube when this guy is done. After I've got it all nice and edited together, we will definitely get a video put together for this chalk holder. But for the moment, it's not completed, so I am going to be working on, or I have to finish the piece and edit it a little bit. But I really didn't want to delay our coal forge anymore. So I decided that we're going to finish this on YouTube, and for our stream today, we are going to start working on our coal forge. So welcome in, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. I'm going to put these guys, I guess I'll put these guys over here for the moment. Let me put my apron on, just, because it's part of my costume a little bit, I guess. And today, for the most part, I probably won't actually have to use, okay, it's my, I think it should be all right. Sorry about any popping or clicking that happened when I put that on. So first of all, we're going to kind of design the coal forge. And so what I did was I brought my coal forge, my old coal forge, inside the shop, right? So this is it right here. And basically what this is it is a piece of cast iron. I'm not entirely even sure what this pan is. We got it in the boating section of uh, the boating section of our local farm supply store. And I don't know, so maybe it's like a propeller or something. I mean, it could be any number of different pieces of boat. But it's kind of got scalloped edges and a hole in the middle. So I don't know, it kind of looked like a hubcap or something. Anyway, so I kind of welded some 1/2 inch round stock for legs, and I put in some like clinker breaker. And then this is my, well, that's covered in leaves, but this is an old bathroom fan. And so it's like a vent fan that you know, when you take a shower and you've got all that steam in there, you turn on the bathroom fan, and that's what this is. So, that's what this was. So that's how I got the oxygen for my coal forge. And so right now, this guy is what I have as far as a coal forge. So it's really small. It's not very sturdy. You can kind of see that it jiggles quite a lot. And it does not hold a lot of weight. So when I decided that I wanted to do things like axe heads and some like a little bit of Damascus or some forge welding. I knew that I was going to have to come up with a different solution for a new coal forge. So that's what we're going to start working on. So this is just not sturdy enough for the amount of steel that I want to put in it. So we're going to start from scratch. And we've got a good selection of materials over here that we get to work with. So first things first, I'm going to get rid of this so I have a little bit of more room to walk around in. I just brought it in here because I wanted to make sure that you guys kind of see, you know, what our goal is. So we need a place to keep coal, a a place for the air to come up and heat that, or pump more oxygen into that fire to get it up and hotter, and a place to kind of allow the material to rest. And this is really small, so there's just not enough room for that. So yeah, I'm going to move this out there, and then we're going to start talking about some of the materials that I've gathered, and we're going to start designing it. So off this goes. Whoa. This guy only has 3 legs, so it's kind of a weird tripod thing going on. I dropped my marker. Okay. So yeah, welcome to the stream, everybody. And hopefully I haven't missed any comments. I think I'm clear. So I'm going to change the view, and I'm gonna show you what I got. Hey Mahalo, welcome in. It's going all right. I'm a little bit tired today. We had a really, really heavy, busy weekend, so I'm a little bit, but it's all right. We'll get through it today. All right. So right here, let's see if you guys can see really well. Okay. So right here, what I have is a sheet of, I believe this is like 3/16 sheet metal. And this is going to form the pan for the coal forge. And so all of the coal and everything is kind of going to sit on here. And this is also what the steel is going to sit on. And this right here is a disc brake. And this is kind of, you know, what you use on a car for when you're braking and things like that. And my great grandfather was a blacksmith. Scottish Mind Games, welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, this is a brake rotor, and it's still like relatively new. It's still in the plastic. So I'm going to stick that on my chair real fast, my phone, and we're gonna rip open this plastic so we can kind of take a look at it, right? Ooh, it's a little on the greasy side, so I might have to go and grab a piece of paper towel and a few. So, I mean, it's a very typical disc brake. You know, you've got the area where you can put the lugs and the axle through here. And so basically, every coal forge kind of has what's called a clinker breaker. And as you break or as you burn coal, all of the stuff that doesn't burn, that's called clinker, and it becomes like a glass like popcorny shaped substance. And so we want to get rid of that as it develops. And so it goes through this hole here. And then so you attach it to a series of pipes on the back. And that's also where the air comes up through here so that you can get that oxygen to heat up that flame. So this is the main section of the burner of the forge. And so this, what is going to happen with this is it's going to sit in the center of this piece of sheet metal. And this is going to become the actual forge itself, right? And so the next thing that we kind of have to deal with is what are we going to do for the sides to make sure that the coal is staying in here? Because right now there's like no sides. So as the coal gets pushed around by the material and me with a coal rake, it's just going to fall off the side, right? So I have a bed frame, and that's over here. So I'm going to place this guy right here. And this is kind of just like a regular, you know, basic bed frame that you would, you know, put a double bed on for like a kid or something like that. Just like a really basic piece, or I guess bed frame. And so what I want to do with this is I want to tip it up and kind of place that sheet metal on top of these rails. So we are going to make a little pan, like the raised edges of a pan, out of this angle iron material. So I want to make sure that and I have plenty of this to go all the way around here. And so that's going to help us a little bit as well. If the heat will not be enough to melt metal, how do you stop it from affecting the frame? Well, like I said, this centerpiece, the disc brake, is where all of the heat is going to live, right? So out here on this flat sheet back here is mostly it's just there to hold excess steel. Like if I'm heating up a really long piece of steel like this guy, it's there to kind of help support that steel. And then it is all, or like the rest of this is also there to hold extra coal that I can rake back into that center area. So this guy is really thick metal. And a lot of these are actually made out of they're relatively close to a cast iron. This is probably more of a tool or like a high carbon steel, but it's got a relatively high melting point. So, and I do have more than one of these guys. So eventually it will melt because of the excess heat that comes through this the central area But I will be able to drop a new one in here when that happens, because I have about 3 of these guys. So when I measure these guys, I have enough so that I can make the entirety of this coal forge about 2 feet long and about 18 inches wide. So if we take the tape measure, and this is an imperial, I don't have a metric tape measure, and I wish I did, because metric is so much easier to math. So yeah, this is about 2 feet long. And if I measure this side, we'll move this over here a little bit. We've got about 20 inches. So that means we have to take off a little bit more than 20 inches, because I've got like this little taggy here that's a little bit of excess. So we're going to cut this so that it is 2 feet this way and 18 inches this way. And like I said, that's all imperial standard measurements. So I'm going to move over to the wide shot again, so you guys can kind of see what I'm kind of thinking about as far as a design. So this right here, can you guys see me? I think you can. Yes, okay. So this right here is my whiteboard. And so I'm kind of going to draw myself like a little design, right, on this board. And I'm hoping that you guys can see it too, if I move it over here. And you guys, some of you guys are familiar with my whiteboard, because, you know, I have in the past used this to kind of demonstrate like the design that I'm going with. So we're going to kind of, this is going to be our front edge right there. And I'm not sure if you guys can see that or not. It might not be dark enough. Can you guys see that? Maybe a little bit. All right. So we still haven't even talked about the legs down here. So I actually have some 5/8 inch square stock, and I'm thinking that if we do some V-shaped legs, so they will be like a kind of like a U or a V. So this will be like the end of the leg here, and these will attach at a 45-degree angle to the table of the coal forge. So if I go like so, we can kind of denote and I didn't do that angle very well, but that's all right. So this is kind of going to be the top of the forge. And that's kind of going to be the brake drum in the center of the forge. So we've got, if this guy all the way from here to here is 18 inches. Whoops, because I'm doing this sideways here. 18 inches imperial. And then this is 2 feet imperial from here to here. So then I also need to make these legs. And then I also need to measure the central like forge pan, the disc brake. So, whoops, let me put that there. And we'll cap this so that, all right. So if I take this guy right here, which is the disc brake, and I measure that, that is 11 inches wide on the diameter. So that means that this area here is 3.5 imperial. From there to there. And It is about, so if that's 2 feet, this is almost 1 foot, so that's probably about 6.5 inches this direction. Once again, imperial. All right, so now we've got the top kind of denoted a little bit. And so now I'm going to kind of try and figure out how long these legs need to be. So we've got these nice U-shaped legs here. And I'm pretty happy with that. We're going to kind of denote that we've got edges. And so these are going to be those bed frame edges. Now, I have left this front edge open, and part of the reason why I want to do that is so if I am working from this front edge, it's a lot easier to lay my steel across this sheet if I have this open, because then I can kind of, like my coal forge, it has, or my gas forge, it has that like flat opening, and then I've got that sawhorse that sits right in front of my coal forge like so. And then I kind of lean the material on that to kind of raise it and keep it flat so that all of the material that I want in that coal air, in that that burning hot area stays at a level, or it stays level on that table. So it'll be a lot easier if I don't have anything in front of here raised up. Otherwise, it will angle the material this way. And so I won't get that flat angle that I want in that central pan. So I know that I still need some support in the front here. So I think I'm going to cut all 4 of these guys, like the angle iron from the bed frame. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put that lip down instead of up. So then I still have that support on that front edge of that angle iron, and I have support on all 4 sides, but I have that flat edge that I can work out of. So that's kind of a pretty good design for my forge pan itself. And so now I need to kind of determine the length of these legs here. So I really like the height of my table here. And so if I measure from the floor to the top of the table, I can kind of see that this table is about 33 inches tall, right? So, and I'm pretty happy with the height of this table. So, you know, I think that's a pretty good height. So I want from here to here to be 33 inches imperial. And then we need to kind of decide like the distance between here and here. So we need this distance now. So we're going to kind of make that U shape. And we know that this length here has to be at the very least 66 inches. So if I add a few inches for each of these sides, I can kind of, you know, hit 70. So that's a 2 inches over this 33 inches. So if I make this distance from here to here, 35 inches. Then that is 2 extra inches on this side and 2 extra inches on that side. So then I can kind of get that triangular shape. And we're going to kind of put those kitty corners. So they'll meet right there. Go down here and then meet somewhere in the middle right there. So that way, and we're going to support it on all four corners. So that's the ground right there. Are you going to use coal, coke, or charcoal? I am going to be using coal for this project, or in this particular in this forge. Mostly because I have about 200 pounds of coal, and it burns hot enough to forge weld and things in it, but it doesn't burn quite as hot as coke does. Coke burns a whole lot hotter than coal, and I don't think that my forge pan would survive very long if I was using coke in this particular forge setup. So I will be using coal. If I decided later that I wanted to use coke because it was just more available for me, what I would do, I probably would look at modifying this design, because it would be a lot easier to keep it for a longer time if I designed it specifically for coke. So we now kind of have our design for this coal forge. And so, I mean, now we can kind of look a little bit at the materials that we've got. And I mean, I showed you a lot of them. Air blast from underneath fits coal and coke perfectly, but charcoal requires a side blast to work as it should. Yeah, and it really does. You can kind of, there are a lot of traditional Japanese forges that that use a lot of charcoal, because it was a lot easier to get a hold of charcoal than coal in Japan. So they have like boxes that have these like little levers that you would just like push them back and forth, and there was like it was kind of like a wooden bellows kind of thing, and that's how they would get their side blast. So yeah, for this one, we are going to do a blast of air from the bottom. And how we're going to do that is we are going to take that circle that's right here on the disc brake, and we're going to weld some black iron pipe to that bottom so that it makes a really good clinker breaker and a T in there, so that we can kind of give ourselves a side to put the airflow so that it shoots up this hole and into the fire. So that's kind of how that's going to work. And so we now have our design, and I hope you guys can see that. Like I said, it's a little bit light and it's small on my end, but I think you guys can kind of see it a little bit. Maybe if I bring it forward some, you might be able to see it a little bit better. But this is kind of the idea that I have for the forge. And so that's what we're going to kind of try and start building today. So I'll put this over here for the moment. And yes, in Europe and most places, blacksmiths have exclusively used charcoal for 200 or 2,500 plus years. It's great if forge is set up correctly. Very underrated. And I mean, it works very beautifully for blacksmithing. And I mean, people have been using it for many, many years. Now, I would not actually recommend the pre-bagged stuff that you buy at, the grocery store for grilling burgers and steaks and things like that. That's just way too expensive. It is pre-packaged, or like the pre-packaged stuff. A lot of times it has like weird chemicals in there to kind of help it burn properly and hotter for cooking purposes specifically. So if you are going to make a charcoal forge, my recommendation is to, instead of using, the bag, match light stuff, that you actually make your own charcoal out of wood. So when you are, when you cut down trees and things like that. Now, don't cut down random people's trees. Make sure that you have permission to cut down trees too. You can't just go to a random person's, like, ravine or woods or whatever. Make sure that you have permission to cut that wood down. Yeah. You do have to have a good source to make your own if you are using charcoal. It's a lot cheaper that way, especially if you have connections to, like, tree trimmers and removers and things like that. It's just so expensive if you're to do charcoal if you are not making your own. And there are plans to make charcoal, like, because in order to make charcoal, they kind of, there is a whole process where you have, like, you kind of burn the wood, partially, and it creates smoke, and it creates a specific, environment that will enhance the charcoal a little bit. So, I mean, lump charcoal is an okay starting point. Like I said, I think lump charcoal that you buy at the grocery store to, um, that's specifically designed and formulated for grilling food, like, your steaks and your burgers and things like that. I still think that's way expensive. And there's just a lot of better ways to, go about that than using, the $20 bags of match lights. Hello. Welcome in, Medicus Lex. Welcome in. Um, so yeah, and I mean, you can use it if that's all you have available to you. I mean, it's fine. It's just, after a while, it gets kind of expensive. So, I mean, I would upgrade to finding a way to make your own. There are, online, there are resources that will help you come up with, or, plans and designs for a charcoal maker. And you can find those relatively easily online. So that is my recommendation. Um, it is. I agree. Making your way is the way to go. Just don't use the briquettes. Yes, the briquettes. Some of those get actually really bad, like the ones that have the lighter fluid in them. You definitely don't want to use those. Um, let's see. Where was I? Oh, the air pressure in here, it closed my other door, but I have my garage door open, so it should be good. The fucking briquettes are awful regardless of forge. They definitely are. And like I said, they're really, really expensive. Like, if you're buying a bag of the matchlight stuff versus a bag of coal, I mean, the matchlight is more expensive in most areas. So, just be aware, think about it. Like I said, the best way to go if you're going to use charcoal is make your own. If you have access to bismuth coal, that is going to be also a very good solution, and that is what we're going to be using in this forge. Yep, purposely made, burn cooler and slower. And that is, you can kind of use it for a little bit longer. Oh yeah, the briquettes burn cooler and slower. Yeah, and that's so that you can evenly cook your food. Um, so yeah, the other, depending on the availability of coal in your area or charcoal in your area, as opposed to, propane. Propane is usually very readily available, and that it also is. It's a lot easier to manage, when you know how to, like, maintain it. Um, like I said, I normally use coal, or a coal forge, because I can talk to you guys for like an entire hour and still have my metal soaking in there, and it's never gonna burn. I cannot say the same thing about a coal forge like this. If I sit here and, you know, I've got my, you know, metal in the forge, the coal forge, and I just sit here and I talk and I forget that I have metal in the fire, it's gonna burn, it's gonna melt, you know, and then I'm gonna lose all of the work that I previously did. So, you know, this is kind of like a lot more close maintenance, and then the gas forge is a lot easier to maintain once you learn how to use it. A gas forge is also, it's a little bit more intimidating, I think, at first. It's a lot easier to kind of to learn to start a coal forge, I feel like, because a lot of people are really familiar with lighting a charcoal grill, and it's very similar to that. Whereas, you know, the gas forges are a little bit more intimidating, I think. And I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And like I said, it's always, you know, what is the easiest and cheapest method for you to get started, whether that is propane or coal, you know. That's, you know, a very big consideration when it comes to this sort of thing. Okay, so we have our forge pan, sheet metal here. And we have the edging that I want to use, which is these bed frames. What do you think about a coal forge being more accurate for putting the heat where you want versus a propane forge? I think that a coal forge is so much easier to get pinpoint precision heat. You can set up your coal forge to have like the tiniest little area. I mean, if you only want like, you know, less than an inch of heat, of like the red hot workable heat, you can do that in a coal forge. Whereas most of your propane forges, they're going to give you like a very broad general spectrum heat. You're not going to get any pin spot, like really hot temperatures. It's going to be incredibly even throughout, unless you have cold spots within your forge, like cold and hot spots. And, you know, that's kind of an issue if your burner isn't quite big enough, or if it's like too big for your gas forge. But yeah, there is something to be said about a coal forge being, because you can precisely heat a piece of steel exactly where you want it. So yeah, let's see. So, like I said, I kind of have to measure and kind of cut all of this material so that we can kind of start putting it together, or putting this coal forge together here. So let's see. For now, I'm going to take this guy right here and I'm going to put him on the floor so that we've got lots and lots of room to kind of work with the steel that we're, you know, the fabrication part of this forge. And then I'm going to put that right there for the moment. What did I do with my soapstone? It's right here. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to try and do, let's see, is I am going to kind of give myself some marks to kind of size this correctly. So this is about 24 inches imperial. It's about 24.25 inches imperial. So I'm going to have to take a teeny tiny strip off of the edge of this guy. And I'm going to do it from this side because there's a little bit of flashing on this side, which indicates to me that at some point I cut off of this side. So I want to keep the factory edges as much as possible when I'm trying to get a full right angle. So we're going to cut off of this edge right here. So if I go over here and I'm going to mark that at the 24-inch mark. And now I need a straight edge to kind of straighten that up. And I'm lucky here, I actually have some lovely straight edges in the form of this bed frame. So if I move this over, right there. Maticus Lex, thank you so much for that subscription. Thank you so much for your support for the channel. I am here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as often as I possibly can. Lately, I've been having a few technological difficulties, and so I've been having a little bit of trouble streaming. And I also have a YouTube channel that if I post all of my VODs there, and then I also post shorts that I've created from our streams, and then I also do long form content, which is, several minutes of edited content. So if I'm not here, you can find me on YouTube under the same name, Ray's Smithy. I'm getting thirsty. Be good. This is the first time I have kind of worked in this particular shop orientation. Normally I work over there at my smithy section, and this is kind of like my cutting and grinding area. So yeah. Also, thank you so much for that follow. I greatly appreciate that. Welcome to the community. It is amazing, and I love getting fellow blacksmiths in the community. It is one of my major goals with this channel, with both my Twitch and my YouTube, to kind of bring a little bit of the community together, promoting learning and all kinds of fellowship with beginner and old hat blacksmiths. So thank you so much for joining the community. All right, so I have used the bed frame to kind of denote where exactly I need to cut this. Good evening, Sandwich. Where is the 8? Is that what I saw? Let me check this on my phone. Sound is extremely clean today, almost no popping at all. Is there something in the usual place interfering with the microphone? That I could not tell you. I have no clue. I mean, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of steel, but other than that, I haven't really changed much. Let's see. I did change where I'm putting the little receiver. I normally put it in my jean pocket. Right now it's in my hoodie pocket, so maybe that helps. Okay, so I'm going to move us over so that you guys can kind of, okay, can you guys see that? Maybe if I move it a little bit more over here. Okay, so you can see that whole line, but there is sort of an area there that it's underneath the table. So if I cut it there, I will cut into my table. So yeah. Now I have this nice line here, and we're going to cut along this line. So I also think that we probably want to move this over here. And I've got these lovely clamps here. So we're going to kind of move this so that we can kind of use this bed frame a little bit as a guide for ourselves. I'm not sure if you guys can see me very well. Could be the sound compressor isn't working as hard with the forges off. And that is amazingly true. Right now, like I said, I don't have the forge on at all. It's just, I'm just talking. And the only thing that it's really compressing is like the traffic noise outside. In a minute, I will be turning on the angle grinder, and that might have an effect. All right. Is this all the way? Oh, that's why. That's why. Okay. That's not a happy camper. So this welding table kind of has a few like little side things like that. And this little side thing is interfering with my clamp a little bit. So we're going to do our best and see what we can get. Although the popping sounds more out, or more like the connection drops out. I have no idea, to be quite honest. I wish I did. I really do. All right, so I have this lovely angle grinder, and it looks like I have a really old blade on it. So I am going to change the blade real fast. So I'm going to do this so that you guys can kind of watch me do this. And I lost the key to this thing like a million years ago. So I use my multi-tool because these really thin cutting blades, sometimes they shatter if I use the floor. With the actual grinding blades, you can actually use the floor to tighten and loosen your discs. But when they're these like really thin, really old cutting discs, sometimes they shatter before they turn. So I like to use my multi-tool. I know that I got a new one. Where'd it go? I set this whole thing up and I'm still losing stuff. I'm so proud of myself. Okay. All right, so I've got an angle grinder. And you know what I didn't bring myself? I didn't bring myself a extension cord. 1 second. If I can find an extension cord, that is. Oh, I have one over here. It hangs out behind my forge, guys. All right. And I definitely, the last time I did this, did not do a very good job with this. There we go. There's that. Oh. So I'm going to plug this in over here, back behind here. And then we'll throw this on the floor over there. Hopefully we won't trip over it. All right. Good, good. All right, now. Okay. We want to make sure that we are safety first and all that. So lovely dust masks. Normally and there's that one. Normally the dust that's created from an angle grinder and also a grinder, like this is a bench grinder, It's relatively large, but when it is up in the air, it's still, easy to breathe that in. So you definitely want to have a dust mask when you are doing things like this. All right. So let's see. I did not. Okay, maybe if I go like this, I should be able to. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see this well enough. Well, that's fun. All right, so I know that I did not do very much of that, but I am throwing sparks towards the cameras, and I'm not entirely excited about that. So what I think I'm going to do is I might, where's the best angle for this? Can you guys see that end of the table? No, you can't. I'm going to turn this table this direction. And maybe. See, the problem is the guard here is going to get here in the way here, or the guard here is going to get in the way over here. So we're having a little bit of issues. Maybe if I take this guy off in general, it might help us. I'm usually pretty good at giving myself enough space. Oh, I see what's happening there. My partner is coming to give me weights. Are these for the table?
For the table.
Okay.
It's shaking around quite a bit.
It is apparently shaking. How about I put them that way?
You might want to bring your tape back a little bit.
Okay.
Just because it's too tight to see all the way through.
Apparently it is too tight to see. Let me get you some sandbags. Oh, okay. That's you.
That's me.
Okay. All right, and I don't think I can bring my tight that far back. Let me see. Because otherwise I can't even get in it. Let's see. Hopefully you guys can still see. I apologize for the shaking. And then it needs to go up a little bit. All right, what's that look like? Now you can't see anything at all. All right, let's try this again. I'm sorry, guys. Whoa. See, the problem is that there we go. I think you guys can see relatively well now. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. All right, let's try this again. I am going to tighten this back up so that we don't go anywhere. And we can still look at this line over here. And I'll move that under there. Okay. All right, so I got a little bit of excess bumpage right there. And this guy kind of came up and got me in the arm, but there's no blood or anything, so I'm good. That I need to grab a glove so I can touch it. So I hope you guys can still see. All right. That just gets in the way. As I step on that guy. Okay. Good enough for now, for this side. There's still, I will be doing a little bit of grinding on there just to kind of make it a little nicer looking. It's kind of gnarly on that edge. So now we're going to work on this edge here. So I'm going to kind of, we're going to do some measurement there. Okay. Looks like I am still connected to my chat. All right, let me take a drink real fast. That way I can kind of wet my throat as I speak. All right, so let's undo this guy. And we'll move those over there. These can go back in my pocket. All right. All right, there's that. This is totally the worst time to say that I forgot to start my cameras. But that's all right. I still have the VOD. Welcome in, Dirty. Welcome in. Let me turn on my cameras real fast so that I don't have to use specifically my VOD. I hope that's recording now. Okay, that's recording, and that's recording, but in a really bad way. There. Okay. Not a good thing to have spaghetti cording everywhere. Okay, so now that we've gotten this edge cut, we will have to clean that up just a little bit. We've got a little bit of wavering over there, but I mean, since I took the guard off, it's kind of predictable. So what we are going to do now is we are going to create a line here along this edge so that we've got 18 inches imperial on the short side. So we'll start over here, like so. Mark that there. Let's see. I think maybe my camera is stuck. Is it? Something screwy going on with my... I tripped over my capture card. Let me fix that real fast. I am so bad at this. Welcome in, Bluesy. Welcome in. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties after after I tripped over my stream card. There we go. I think I'm back now. Yes, I'm live again. I apologize about that, guys. So sorry. Let me switch cameras so you can kind of see. Why did I do that? Yeah, I know. Is that in focus? I think that's in focus. Or maybe it's not and I just can't see it very well. Okay. I have the worst spaghetti cables right now. Worse than normal. Okay. So now we have denoted here and here 18 inches imperial. And like I said, the reason why I'm using imperial is because I only have an imperial tape measure right now because, you know, that's what's available in the US. All right, so we're going to flip this on that side. And secure that side there. So this guy doesn't go shimmying around on us. Well, technically the US is a metric country. I think it's artsy fartsy. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, we do use the imperial standard measurement on occasion. I will put it this way, maybe. Will that help me out? It is a straight. I'm only using this way because it is a straight edge, and you know, you use what you got. All right. So the reason that I want to cut off this side is because I have this cut in right here. So that way I'll get a nice flat sheet with as many of the factory edges as possible, and the least amount of grinding on things like that we need. All right, let's see. It's going right there. All right, so now we have a lovely line there at 18 inches. And it's hanging off the edge of the welding table so I don't cut into my welding table. So that's also something that, you know, I like to try and make sure happens. You can kind of see on the edges of my welding that I have actually cut into the table a few times. I try not to, though. I do my very, very best. All right. So more dust mask and more cutting with the angle grinder. All right, headphones, so I can hear myself think. As you are used to inches, how many barley corn are there in a mile? See, I'm an American. I don't measure things in miles. I measure things in football fields and blue whales and 7-Eleven stations and, you know, anything but a mile. I hate miles. Now, I am paying careful attention to where I have that white demarcation line. And I don't know if you guys can hear And there we go. We have a 2-foot by 18-inch forge top. Okay. So that's actually pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. How about I change cameras to this one so you guys can actually see me? So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with this. It is now 2 feet by 18 inches, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do is kind of take a look at this with our forge pan. So if we take a look at that, we can kind of shuffle it around a little bit. Since we are at 18 inches, okay, we need to move this a little bit this way. Okay, just a little there. 3 inches there. Okay, that's good. It's pretty centered in this section here. And I guess I don't actually need this guy anymore, or really this guy. So right now what I'm doing is I'm kind of trying to center this disc brake so that I can kind of create a good area that I can kind of denote where this is going to sit in here. Now I want this edge to kind of be what it's sitting in, and so that this bottom section here sits underneath or like through a hole in this sheet, but on this like as a lip, so that it's got a nice amount of area to kind of keep it from falling through. So now we're going to kind of figure out how far from the center there. Okay, so that is 7 inches there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 there. So if we go 6.5 and 6.5 right there. We are now, need to offset it just a hair that direction. And we are now pretty centered on here. And you can kind of see, I missed the beginning. Are you placing a pot in this? Yeah, there is a disc brake. This is the disc brake right here. And so that's what I'm doing right here. This is the forge pan itself. And then this is the pot. I am going to be welding some black iron pipe in here so that I can create a clinker breaker and the air intake. So what I want to do is cut out the center section here so that the whole forge, or like the whole disc brake, is sitting on this nice edge here. So it kind of gives it a little bit of a nice area to, so that it doesn't fall through, but I've got plenty of space for that clinker breaker in the airflow. So now that it's nice and centered here, I'm going to kind of denote where all that is. There's some like weirdness inside of here. All right. Now we kind of got to figure out, like, this is really skinny, so it's going to be really hard for me to get the chalk outside of there. So we've denoted where all of these are the holes for the nuts and the axle. So now we got to kind of figure out how wide this section is so that this can sit in the hole and it can sit on this right here. That's going to be a front rotor, no top hat on it for the parking brake. Yep. Front or rear axle. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. This guy is a new one. I know that I have other ones, like other disc brakes that are a lot deeper, and they are, I think they're rear ones, because they came off of a Kia Rio, and I know exactly where they came from. But this one, I have no clue where this came from. It just ended up in my shop one day, and I was like, you know, it's really nice and shallow. It's going to be a lot easier to maintain heat and get my steel in here because it's not nearly as deep as like the other ones tend to be. And that's kind of the problem with disc brake coal forges, is that they tend to be really deep in the fire pot. It makes it a lot harder to get like middle sections of large bars. So this one looked pretty, you know, shallow. So I liked that quite a lot. All right, so this is nice and round, and I have another piece of round steel that it might be the right size for that. Not going to be a coal gobbler. I'm hoping it's not going to be a coal gobbler. Usually when they are deep like that, they do burn so much coal. All right, let's see if I can't pick up this piece of steel back here without tripping over all of this other stuff. I keep all my stock behind where the cameras currently are, and that's becoming my issue. Okay, so this is a lovely piece of tool steel that I have, and it's almost the same size. So I think it's close enough that if I take this, I can kind of trace around it. And then that'll give me plenty of area to kind of grind out, like, just set it in there so that I don't make it a little bit too big. Too small is always better than too big. Okay. Have you seen the water-cooled forges? I actually haven't. That would be really cool to look at. I poured water on my forge before. Does that count? I mean, the forge itself is cooled with water. It definitely is cooled with water. I mean, you know, when you're trying to get rid of all of your fire and, you know, end for the day. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so it's relatively centered that direction. Need to come down just a hair bit there. And I'm pretty sure that's pretty centered. So let's trace around here. And we'll pick it up and we'll see how close we are. Really far off. All right. That's 6.5, 18 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5, 6.5. So yeah, that's really far off. All right. So let's try this again. Now we'll see again how close we are. Ooh, that's a lot closer. I think that's a pretty decent attempt. So I'll put this on the floor. And I'm pretty happy with that. The water keeps the steel cool. The air brings the air to the forge. So it water cools the air to give it more charge before being introduced to the fire pot. It kept the sides of the fire pot cool as the sides were constantly insulated with water. Ooh, that's a really good idea. Do we know who came up with that idea? That's a really, because you'd be able to save your fire pot for a lot longer if you're cooling the edges. See, the problem with a lot of people's fire pots is that they get so hot. Even the cast iron and the brake rotor fire pots have a tendency to melt over time. So if you were able to water cool them, it would last so much longer. That is a great idea. Yeah. Okay. So now that we have, this is where the hole is going to be for the fire pot that we're going to drop down in there. And I'm not amazingly, I guess this is the part that I didn't really plan, right? Because my last coal forge already had a hole in the center for the clinker breaker, and the whole thing was basically a fire pot. I didn't really have a table around it, so I didn't actually have to cut the hole in here. And then for like my gas forges, I use, just a hole saw, but this is a little bit bigger. I'm not entirely sure how I want to go about doing that. There is a part of me that wants to take pie slices out with the angle grinder, like star pieces, and then you can kind of cut those out. Cut out these straight lines and kind of bend them out. But that's really kind of messy, and it's going to be a pain to have to grind out later. So I'm not entirely sure how I want to go about doing this. But it is something that I definitely need to do. If anybody has any ideas, I am open to that. Otherwise, I will probably do the pie slice thing and slice that out like that. Do I have a jigsaw? I had one. Could you make a carbon fiber disc rotor fire pot? They can withstand way higher temperatures. See, I'm not amazingly familiar with carbon fiber. I know that, it's a lot lighter than like aluminum or steel or anything like that. It's made, or a lot of tripods are made, but that's kind of like all I really know about carbon fiber, to be honest. Drill holes around the perimeter. that is an idea. I could definitely do that, and then I could do smaller sections. Want to buy a plasma cutter? Exactly, I do want to buy a plasma cutter, but they're kind of a little bit too expensive for me right now. But yeah, I think Dirty's right. Drilling holes, because whether I use a jigsaw or the angle grinder for those cuts, I'm gonna need uh, relief areas, and drilling holes is really the best solution for that. My phone is doing a really bad job of keeping track of chat, so I'm gonna have to try and like look at the camera, or I mean look at the laptop, but then I'm not looking at the camera, and yeah. Okay. So, I do have a jigsaw, but I believe it's in the either it's in the cold shop or it's in the house. I'd have to go and grab it. Let's start by drilling the holes, though. I can do that relatively easy. I actually brought myself a drill. There goes my phone. It didn't shatter or anything, so we're good. I'm going to put this over here. And I'm a really cheapo person, and I still have like this awful Black & Decker corded thing because holes in the brake disc is not a good thing. They are usually very hard. Oh yeah, I'm not doing holes in the brake rotor. I'm just trying to do holes in the plate that's going to be the forge pan, so that I can cut a hole in here so that the disc brake will sit inside of it on the edges. So I have taken this piece of steel right here, which is about the same size as the interior of the disc brake that we have, and traced around it. And so we're going to drill holes around this like little edge here. Yep. We are making holes for the disc brake, which hits the forge pot, and the plate will be held. Yep, exactly. So right now I have a wire wheel on my drill because the other side of this piece is incredibly rusty, and in order to weld this piece onto the edges that we're going to make out of this bed frame, I'm going to have to take the rust off of it, because a dirty, rusty piece of metal isn't going to hold the weld isn't going to hold it together. It's not going to arc, and dirty welds never work. So we will get there eventually. Okay, now I need a bit. Do I want to use this bit? Or do I want to use a different bit? Those are all wood bits. I think I'll use this one. We will try at least. Okay. Bites her tongue and points at stick welds done in the field. I mean, you can do it. It's possible. It's not the best idea. I think I'm more promoting best practice as opposed to you can do this, but it's a little bit harder work, I think. Step bits are handy for sheet metal work. They definitely are, but these bits are relatively easy to get a hold of. I will buy a brand new drill bit for every new project that I do, because, and I mean, they do dull all the time, and that's partially why I have to I have to buy new ones every time. All right, let's see. gotta make sure that it's all nice and lined up with the holes in the welding table so I don't drill through my welding table. Or I can take 2 pieces of wood, and I know I have some wood around here somewhere. Give me half a second. I think I have a couple blocks of wood. Maybe we took them all out of here. I don't know. I'm trying. Let's see here. More sheet steel. Yeah, I'm not seeing any of my wood blocks. Except for the ones that I use for my other stuff. All right, we're just gonna sit here and we're gonna pay close attention and align it as it comes out. Okay, so we're gonna start right here, I think. Not the best idea, but sometimes you have to. Yeah, and I mean that is so the case, but yeah. Extra holes in the table for speed, exactly. All right, we're going to go right here, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to start here because I can kind of see there's a hole right here, and I know that it extends to about here. So we're going to start here, and then we're going to move this around a little bit. And the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some oil so that I can kind of cool this out. Weight reduction, exactly. All right. So a little bit of oil so that we can keep our bit a little bit cooler. It is not wanting to bite in here. Not at all. There it goes. All right. There we go. Nice, pretty hole. Exactly where we want it. All right. Hey, Dan. Welcome in. Now that's how we summon a demon that'll build a new forge. Yes. Oh, Dan just ended your stream. Well, welcome in. I hope your stream went really well. I'm sorry I missed it though. I really wanted to watch more of your streams. All right. So right now we are making a coal forge. So right now we are drilling a hole for the coal pot, which is going to be a brake drum. This is the interior section so that it'll sit on that exterior section that is, you know, what's the stopping power of the brake drum. And so this is the rest of the pan where all the coal is going to sit. And it should work pretty well. I'm kind of thirsty. I'm going to grab a drink real fast. That bit seems to be letting you down. It definitely does. But it's like, you know, a really cheap bit. And I've used it for a lot of different projects. So that also does not help. All right. So we're going to start on this side right here. We're going to kind of line that up with the slot. I'm planning on doing about 4 of these guys at first. And then we'll see what we can do to kind of go from here to here and here to here to cut out as much of this circle as possible. And then we'll use a grinder to kind of finish the job, I think. So let's start this again. Oh, it helps when you turn it so that it's going down and not up. Here we go. All right, it's starting to bite. Yeah, this guy's an old bit, so. There we are. Hole number 2. I'm going to move some of this stuff off of here so that I don't knock it off. Shall I repeat again? Sharpen it. I mean, yeah. I found a great set of bits that, like, for my steel drilling set, it's very affordable. Yeah, I definitely need to get a new set of bits. I buy bits like all the time, and I should have bought a bit for this, and I didn't. I'm sorry, guys. So it is taking a little bit of extra time. I mean, I'm working with what I got. I think I'm doing all right. Extra effort is, you know, it's that extra blood, sweat, and tears, you know. It's going to make it a better forge, right? Okay, let's put this. I need like another table or something. There we go. There's that. Okay. And I'll put that over there. I'm really enjoying the stream. You're doing wonderfully. Well, thank you. I do my very best. Like I said, this is I'm excited because the last several streams of mine that I've done have been incredibly unstable. And, you know, it's working really well. And I really think it's that whole, you know, I was complaining to my partner about the stream being unstable. And he's monitoring it right now, so obviously it's not going to act up. Because that's how this stuff works. Let's see. I'm going to take a drink real fast. And honestly, I think I need to switch my clips real fast. I've been not paying nearly enough attention to this. I really need to pay more attention to my camera clips too. There we go. Intermittent faults are terrible. I know. but that's the issue. I'm having intermittent problems with the stream stability, and that's the worst thing, right? It's like when your stream is completely interrupted by, the internet, or, instability in the there, it's still going okay. Instability in there it is, the button, and the internet and things like that. And I've been having a lot of issues with that, but today it's doing really well. Get the Bosch 14-piece kit. I had a Bosch 14-piece kit at one point, and as I worked, the bits started wearing out, and so I've had to replace them. Sometimes I spend a little bit of extra and get more of the same. Sometimes I cheap out, and it kind of depends on what sort of project I'm working on at the time. Like I said, I really haven't bought a new set of bits in a while. Dirty, I just installed one of your fun stickers on my propane bottle. Save an anvil, bang a blacksmith. That is a great sticker. That's a great sticker. I might need a sticker like that. I might need a sticker like that. It looks like I missed a follower. Thank you so much, Maddox Lex, for this. Oh, it was a follower. I think I already thanked you, but thank you again. Welcome to the community. See, this whole thing, it's a little bit more challenging to talk to you guys as much. Because when I'm doing the actual blacksmithing, I've got the built-in breaks every time I have to put the piece back in the forge to heat back up. But with this, it's just this steady work. So I kind of have to remember. And then my phone is not doing a very good job. It keeps like disconnecting from chat and then trying to reconnect again. So, I'm doing the best I can on that. Alrighty. Let's start another hole. We'll start one about here. Oh, you know what? I should probably change. I guess I'll be all right. I don't need to change the camera angle. You guys can watch me struggle with this for one hole. Haha. 3 holes. And I would love to say that the reason that I'm using a crappy, Black & Decker, corded drill is because, I'm trying to show people that you can blacksmith and fabricate using whatever tools you have available. But that's really not the case. It's just that my cordless DeWalt drill broke a while back. I feel like they only last about a year for me for whatever reason. They just aren't the way they aren't as good as they used to be. So I do the best I can. It is true though. Thanks. I had to change my username from an ancient one, Maticus, to what I currently stream. Oh, you stream too? I am always looking for new blacksmith streams to watch. So interesting, because I mean, I like to support my fellow blacksmiths with their, YouTube and their Twitch goals, but I also like to, I like to see what you guys are doing, what is your camera setup like and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm not, I'm stealing people's stuff, but their camera setups and stuff, but I also really want to support you guys. But yeah, I will definitely take a look at your. Do you guys save VODs? I know that I save VODs. They don't always stay for very long. I think the ones on my channel stay for 30 days. I do post them on YouTube though. So if you're ever looking for my VODs, they're available and out there. Unfortunately, my phone is not keeping up with the stream chat. So I think I'm just going to shut it off for the moment and I will pay attention to the laptop screen. Or at least I will try to. It will also make it a lot easier for me not to drop my phone every 3 seconds. Well, just getting set up. I just want to be part of the Smith community. Well, the Smith community is an incredibly open and inviting community. And I mean, I love it. This is the people that I have met through the blacksmithing community are some of the nicest and, knowledgeable, charitable people that I've ever met. So welcome to the community, From my forge to yours. I just followed you a few minutes ago, Fallstar. Yeah. I don't actually have the ability to follow people right this second because I'm trying to do the stream without having Chrome up. So all I have up right now is OBS because it's been so unstable. So I'm hoping that by not having as many functions up, but once the stream is over, I'll definitely check you guys out and I will give you a follow. All right, so we're going to do another hole. And this time I think I'm going to go to the close-up cam. All righty. One more hole for the moment. We're going to start right here. There we go. Much more better. We're getting there. This guy is getting duller by the minute. There we go. Haha. 4 holes. Okay, I think I'm done drilling holes for the moment. Rock on with your bad self, All-Star Forge. I follow both of you, but I do not stream. I'm 75 and have no idea how. Well, you know, if you really want to stream, you know, there are plenty of us that would be able to, or would be willing to help you, Bluesy, if you'd like. But I mean, there's no shame in just watching, because I mean, everybody needs people to watch and followers and community. And I mean, the community that doesn't stream is just as important as the streamers themselves. There would be no streamers without, you know, followers and people to watch, you know? So, all right. Soon the bots will stream for you. I mean, that's so true. There are bots, and, you know, AI is getting so good nowadays. The other day I saw like some videos on Facebook that were straight AI. They keep giving me like videos of cats like getting lost, and you know, they're like animated cats, and they you can tell it's AI because they like change colors and shapes all the time. It's really odd. I'm floored by what AI can do nowadays. That is so true. Makes me feel better about spending some days just lurking. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so now that I have my 4 holes in here, what I think I'm gonna do is where I put that, here's my soapstone, is I'm gonna take the angle grinder and I'm gonna cut the square out here between each of these holes. And we're definitely going to have to do some grinding on these little other areas where I wasn't able to get those holes. So when we won't be able to get through with the angle grinder. But this will be a good start for that. So I think that's where we're going to start for the moment. So I need to turn this sideways. And I can line up the hole with this slot here. And unplug the drill. Grab the angle grinder. All right. And we're going to do these 4 lines here. And then I'm going to take a look and see where we are as far as time. Unfortunately, fabrication takes a little bit more out of me than blacksmithing does, because I have to just continuously fabricate, and I don't feel like I can take quite as many breaks as when I'm forging. So we'll see where we're at. I will probably, you know, need to take a little bit of a break, a little sit. But yeah, once we're done with these lines, we'll reassess how far we've gotten, how far more we have to go. So safety first, safety third. Let's put our masks back on. Do I have a stone? Oh, take a file to fix that drill, or do I have a stone? I don't actually have a stone. It's actually a lot easier and cheaper to buy new than to sharpen bits in here, in this area. So I don't know. I might end up buying a new bit, or I might sharpen it. I don't know. It depends on what I'm feeling like the next time I need a bit. All right. Oh yeah, I have sandbags on this thing. I can't move it very well. All right, let's try this. Let's move this oil. Raw. The piece of steel shifted on me. Maybe I should actually clamp it down. You know, I forgot to do that. I need to clamp it down for the next one, so it doesn't shimmy and I don't end up going through my table. Much more better. There we go. Haha. That just adds iron to the water. Yeah. Okay. Let's do the next cut. Two. I forgot to change my camera angle. Alrighty. Alrighty. I'm going to start this way. One more cut to go. At least for that. Then we'll get to kind of take all of the rest of this extra out. But like I said, we're kind of going to assess where we are. Alrighty. Let's start this direction. Alrighty. Stick that over there. Undo this. And alrighty. Stick these over there. And that's the wrong hand. Man, I always have left gloves, but never any rights. I feel like every welder and their, blacksmith, it's always that way. Okay. So we have the first, little area gone. So now we just need to take off some of this area here and there. And we can use the angle grinder to kind of take some verticality out of that. It should be a lot easier from here on now that we have this nice round area. Alrighty. Clap, yay! Okay. I am ambidextrous. Both my gloves are burned through. Man, I wish I was ambidextrous. I am so useless with my left hand for like most purposes. But yeah. Okay. Let's see. This stream has been going for about 2 hours. I think I might actually end the stream a little bit on the early side. I'm hoping that I can finish getting all of the rest of this round out of here before the next stream, but it's just a lot of really tediousness. So I think I need a little bit of a break. And so I will be back on Wednesday. And from there, what we're going to do is we are going to take these pieces of bed frame and we're going to cut them down and we're going to weld them onto the side of this forge. And then we're going to look at putting, designing and putting on some legs. So I think that's what we're going to do for the moment. So thank you all so much for joining me today on our stream. If there's anyone who is streaming that you'd like to raid, let me know. But yeah. Wait. I mean, I suppose I can wait a little bit. Lost Viking. Oh, okay. How are you going to mount, how are the legs going to mount to the plate? So I'm planning on doing 5/8 inch square stock, and we're going to create V legs or U legs. So we're just going to bend them in almost half, and then we're going to weld them onto the bed frame at a 45-degree angle. So I've got the bed frame here, and what's going to happen is I'm going to kind of weld the frames so that the bed frame is underneath and holding up the plate on 3 of the sides, and then on the 4th side, instead of having the edge go up, it's going to go down. So we're going to have an entire bed frame on 4 of the sides, and so the V legs are going to be welded directly onto the bed frame. Got it. Yes. Welding for the win. So we will be welding the sheet to the bed frames and the legs to the bed frame on the other side. So it will have 4 V legs at 45s. So that is the plan. All right. So thank you guys all for joining me today. And you guys want to raid Lost Viking. Okay. So let's do that. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Forge welding MIG, stick, or TIG. It will be flux core, so that is a gasless MIG. There is a bird that just went in here, or like flew in here through the garage door. I need to deal with that. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Let's see if I can find the correct person. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day, and I will see you on Wednesday. Thank you guys so much. Later. There's a bird in here, and I gotta figure out a way to get the fuck out of here, or get it out of here.